Well,
Good morning.
We made it through another night.
We did.
Unscathed.
Today is day 13. We're going to head up Muir Pass, which I think is about...
Isn't it crazy? Day's 13 and you said you have 13 miles?
That's right.
What?
Coincidence?
Maybe some map is wrong.
Yeah. We're going to go up Muir Pass and then into Evolution Valley, which has a lot of peaks named after famous biologists. I might have to point some of those out.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And then we're going to try to get as far as we can today so that we have less to do tomorrow, so we can get into our resupply and shower opportunity as soon as possible tomorrow.
2 days.
So one thing that happens when you're out here is your body still has to do body functions. And so we're looking forward to having an actual little bathroom to go in, so you're not squatting and having fellow hikers like.
This is the best part. This is really the best part about this whole crappy story.
Ba-da-bum.
Hey, so went to go find a place because that's what you do, and I turned around, and then, no joke, 12 maybe 15 feet behind me is someone who's taking a picture of over my shoulder.
Literally, she was taking a picture.
Well, it's at the scene. I mean, this is beautiful, right? This is gorgeous. There's a waterfall. I mean, it's mountain paradise here. So I just stood there like a scared pika.
You camouflaged pretty well.
And I was like, oh my God. And so she'd walked up the trail. The trail was only 20 feet behind where I was standing. So anyway, choose your place carefully.
That is too funny.
It is kind of funny. And of course, the woman who's standing behind me is what?
She never saw you?
No, I don't think she ever saw
me.
Okay. So I won't say her trail name. She's very nice.
Yes.
But she's all of 70 years old hiking out here, which is totally badass.
Yes.
But man,
she almost had a show.
One of us would have been embarrassed. Anyway.
Okay, let's get started.
Enough of that crappy talk. Later. Every day on the trail, there's something that surprises you. This trail right here. Look at this. All of this stone was laid to get across this water. Now, if you're here early, this is pretty treacherous water crossing, I would assume. There's a lot coming down from above. But man, oh man, thank you to the people who built this trail.
All right, we're still following the middle fork of the Kings River, and all the forks and tributaries of the Kings River eventually drain out to the Central Valley of California and are 100% used for irrigation. This water will never make it to the ocean, so it's just moving its way down to fuel crops, feed crops, and feed the people. So we're thankful for this water.
Totally.
And Curtis, update?
We're standing at 11,200 feet, and we still have a little bit more to go from the actual true source of this water. But yeah, it's amazing how much is flowing through here, because when you look around, it doesn't look like there's much snow, and doesn't look like there's much water but there's these hidden lakes, and there's these areas, these aquifers that you just can't see. Yeah. And it just makes this hike up even more unique.
Yeah, it's really great. So we're gonna keep on moving up. All right, we're at a little lake that is just south of Lake Helen, beneath Muir Pass. And this lake doesn't have a name, but it has a famous kind of, conservationally famous situation. This lake, let me talk to the camera so you can see me. This lake was one of the last known lakes for the endangered yellow-legged frog in the Sierra Nevada. And the frogs used to be kind of all throughout the High Sierra Lakes, but the introduction of fish species, trout, in like the 1920s for recreational fishing really was the first whammy against these frog species. The trout eat the frog eggs and tadpoles, and so the population had a real kind of hit from the trout. And then a second whammy came with the introduction of a fungus that has taken out amphibian species throughout the United States called chicrid. And this fungus got its way to the Sierra and really was kind of the nail in the coffin for a lot of the populations of this yellow-legged frog. But luckily, this lake here had some had some frogs that showed some natural resistance to the fungus. And so they had a variation, a mutation that allowed them to survive even in the presence of the fungus. And that is selective advantage enables them to survive and reproduce at a higher rate compared to the dying off frogs. And so in a kind of classic example of natural selection, this little lake has a population of frogs that are resistant to the fungus, the chicrid fungus. And so hopefully over time the population will reestablish and then be able to be reintroduced or naturally migrate into the other lakes up in this area. So kind of no-name lake, but a cool conservation story here in action. We're heading up towards Helen Lake. Got a little snow crossing here, late July. Nice to see still some snow out here.
It's 9:44 in the morning. We left just before 8 o'clock, and we still have more to go.
This is Helen Lake. We're at the outlet having a little water break and snack. Helen Lake is named after one of John Muir's daughters. And just sitting here, you won't be able to see it, but there was alpaca running around in these granite rocks right in front of me. And there's a bunch of these gray-crowned rosy finch, I think they are. They nest up here. Oh my God, it's coming closer. Let's see if we can, I don't think, nope, it just ducked into the rocks. Anyway, these gray-crowned rosy finch, and they breed a nest up here and have little nurseries up here at high elevation, and then they migrate once it gets too cold. But it's really cute. They're chirping at each other, fluttering around. What looks to be like a lot of mating ritual.
A night at the disco.
A night at the disco. Gray-crowned rosy finch edition. You can't see, but might be able to hear the inlet to Lake Helen. That water is coming from a lake that is just up over that ridge.
Checking out this basin. These waters right there that will ultimately drain into the next lower water area, which would be this lake and then Helen. That's the beginning of the middle fork of the Kings River.
All right, that rock in the center of the screen is called the Black Giant, and it's kind of a cool geological feature because it is metamorphic rock at the top and igneous granite rock at the bottom. And metamorphic rock is a type of rock that exists and then goes through additional kind of changes due to intense temperature and pressure. And so it was once volcanic, and then the pressure and temperature of the formation of the magma that formed the granite changed the rock, and it gives it that unique dark black color. Gives it that dark black color. All right, we are at Muir Pass, which is at 11,980 feet, I think. And it's significant in terms of water basin pass because everything from the south where we just came from is the Kings River. And now we're heading north which is going into the San Joaquin River. So also shout out to this peak over here, which Curtis will turn
to your right.
turn the camera around to go show. That's Mount Solomons. Theodore Solomons was the young man I mentioned whose idea was to create a path. Obviously, the indigenous people have been moving along the High Sierra for generations and generations and generations before Theodore Solomons, but he's the one who proposed the idea of the what is now the John Muir Trail. And then we have the John Muir Conservancy here working on the John Muir Hut, built in early 1930s by the Sierra Club in John Muir's honor. So, Curtis, question for you.
Oh God.
Who is John Muir?
Well, he was a gentleman who was born in Scotland.
Correct.
Immigrated to the United States in the late 1800s.
Yep.
Was a bit of a shepherd.
Yes, he was a shepherd.
And loved the outdoors.
Yeah, he adventured and wrote extensively about his experiences and adventures through the
Sierra. And ultimately helped found the Sierra Club.
That's right. And the Sierra Club early mission was about getting kind of people, wealthy white people, out into the Sierra on expeditions. And over the generations and the over 100 years since their founding, their mission has shifted towards much broader inclusion and also but maintaining emphasis on conservation of the Sierra.
Right.
John Muir also is credited with kind of really being the father of conservation of the Sierra, and specifically Yosemite. That park specifically would probably not exist had John Muir not advocated and worked tirelessly for its preservation for the people. So we're thankful for that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
The door is wet in there, so
That's the Muir Hut. It's closed right now because the John Muir Conservancy is working on the roof. But you can see here the plaque to John Muir, lover of the range of light.
Same vibe.
This shelter was erected through the generosity of George Frederick Schwartz, 1931, Sierra Club, U.S. Forest Service. Before LVB. And the generation to come, CLC, always adventure. Love you. Gretel and Curtis. So we are now going into Evolution Valley.
Let me turn this camera around. It's easier that way.
Yeah, Evolution Valley. It's just beyond these lakes and down the other side. And it is named Evolution Valley, and many of the peaks around in the area are named after famous early evolutionary biologists. And so I'm sure, being a biology teacher, I'll point out some of their names and awesome attributes and accolades as we get there.
Yeah.
All right, let's head on down.
All right, we're out.
All right, this mountain here, kind of right now in the center of the screen, is called Mount Huxley. And Thomas Huxley was also known as Darwin's bulldog, and he was a popularizer of Charles Darwin's kind of proposal of the idea of evolution by natural selection in the UK. And here he has a mountain named for him called Mount Huxley as we head down towards Evolution Valley. That drainage goes into Lake McDermott right here just north of Muir Pass. All rocks in this entire lake basin Why does that one get all the lichen?
Because the lichen likes it.
The lichen like it. The lichen like it.
Plus that bird way out there.
I know. I can't. My camera won't show it, but there's like what looks to be a seagull way up there. I'm sure it's some high altitude shorebird that I'm not aware of, but it does look like a seagull right out there in the middle of the lake.
The actual trail is submerged.
This is Wanda Lake, named after another of John Muir's daughters. I'm sure she was lovely. This lake is lovely, but it has a reputation of being quite mosquito and gnatty rich. So hopefully we don't have to bug Ned up as we move through here.
Look at the gnats on Gretel's leg. Oh, they're on mine too.
Oh my God, we're covered. We can't breathe through here because we'll swallow them.
So you want to go hiking on the woods? Huh?
The only way I can breathe through here is by covering up my mouth and nose. There's so many. Gee whiz.
Gee
Probably can't see the screen, but we're using Peak Finder app to try to identify all of these peaks in front of us, because these are the famous biologist peaks. So give us a second to try to ID, and I'll check back in. Okay, we think we're pointing at Mount Stephen Jay Gould, famous biologist for coming up with the idea of selection at the level of the gene. He wrote a famous book called The Selfish Gene. And the next one was Mount Mendel, of course, the father of genetics, famous monk studying pea plants and quantifying inheritance patterns. The one with the kind of broader, flatter top, that's Mount Darwin, of course, famous for coming up with the theory of evolution by natural selection. And then if we scan over a little bit further, we have, let's see if we can point to it. Are you going to point to Wallace?
The very first one.
Okay,
the bigger red one there.
That's Mount Haeckel. He was an early evolutionary biologist, but also he is the one who coined the term ecology. So he was kind of a weird guy. And then the last one is Mount Wallace, named after Alfred Russel Wallace, who was a contemporary of Darwin and also came up with independently the idea of natural selection. But since he published second, he is often kind of lost in to history for his role. But he's got a mountain in the Sierra, Alfred Russel Wallace. Kind of a cool chain of mountains, famous biologists in history.
We're still working our way down to Evolution Valley. Just wanted to show you a quick view. This is Sapphire Lake. And we probably still have about 4.5, 5 miles to go. Another look backwards. So unbelievably beautiful.
Okay, this is the inlet to Evolution Lake. And we're going to cross over to the east side of the lake. There's the lake down there. The trail used to run right along the shore of the lake, but in the 1990s it was re-engineered to protect the shoreline so that the trail now remains higher up above the shore of the lake. Okay, I gotta focus on what I'm doing right now, so. Oh, look at me crossing and photographing. My skills are like coming along. Wow, good job, me. Also, these are really easy boulders to be stepping and walking across. So, let's be real. You can kind of see the remnants of the old trail. For 30 years, that trail hasn't been used. And you can still see the scar it has left next to the lake, which is a true indication of the slow growing kind of recovery for damage to these alpine environments.
If this place doesn't leave you speechless, not much else will.
We have finally reached the outlet of Evolution Lake. We walked along the upper east shore of that lake for the past mile and a half. But take a look. We are now back getting into tree line, including what I think is a hemlock. I haven't seen any hemlocks yet here on this trail, but that droopy top is usually a dead giveaway for a hemlock. And we have some crumholts shaped, looks like lodge poles, and white bark pines. So we're gonna drop down into more of a valley with way more forest.
There's G.
Hi.
Hello.
I've been pretty rapidly descending down into this lodgepole forest at the eastern end of Evolution Valley, and these trees are providing some nice shade relief for us in the heat of the late afternoon. But we're looking forward to getting down to the meadow, meandering river part of Evolution Valley, hopefully pretty soon. Right? Hopefully.
No more than about a mile or two.
Yep. Tributary of Evolution Creek. And of course Curtis showing off his log crossing skills. Nice job. This is Colby Meadow, named after a guy named William Colby, who was a founding member of the Sierra Club. And we're gonna keep moving down till we find a camp spot.
I can't believe I have this whole place to myself right now. Oh, the fishing is so fantastic. Camp for the night. We've eaten. I fished a little. I'm gonna go back and fish a little more.
This is Evolution Creek in McClure Meadow of Evolution Valley. And I think this might be quite possibly one of the most beautiful places on the planet. On the right side, the big arete is called the Hermit. And on the left, moving from left to right, we have Mount Stephen J. Gould, Mount Mendel, and Mount Darwin with the big flat top.
Good evening.
Hi, what a long day.
Yeah.
Great day. We went about 14 miles to McClure Meadow here in Evolution Valley. Quite possibly one of the most beautiful places on the planet.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Surprisingly good. That was a tough. We had
Up over Muir.
We had 4 miles up over Muir, and the rest of it was all downhill.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of downhill. So.
Yeah, it was.
But I feel pretty good, surprisingly.
By the last, maybe 2 miles, I was like, my feet were hurting with
Yeah.
every step. It was like,
Yeah.
and my back started to hurt. But my spirit was good.
You wanted the hike to end.
Yeah, my feet were done. And today, being day 13, the end of day 13 is a big milestone. Here's why: we are halfway done.
What? Well,
Yes, we are halfway
I thought
done.
MTR was going to be halfway done. Sorry.
We are halfway done in days. We are halfway done in miles, and we are halfway done in passes.
Nice.
So we are halfway done.
Halfway done.
Now, halfway done, given we had to add the extra 30 miles.
Yeah.
So like we're going to go 240. So now we've gone 120.
Yeah.
So that's,
good.
yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we're going to enjoy the rest of the
The sunset
little light from...
kind of ended, but let me flip the camera around and you can get an idea what Evolution Valley looks like.